First up, December 11th minutes, which we tabled last meeting. Is there any changes or comments? Do I have a motion to accept? Second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next up is 12/18 meeting minutes. Did anyone see anything wrong with them? Any,
No, well, the bridge project, to which Tracy responded most were from the Linwood area. We're still like asking her to like,
She didn't have an answer. She
right,
just,
to get a breakdown. I don't know, like,
I think she said she could do it going forward, but in the past, they have
Okay.
not recorded.
That was kind of what I got out of her.
okay,
It didn't sound like she was going back.
but that most of the people that she helped were from Lincoln and Woodstock.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. That's the only thing that I thought of.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to accept?
Awesome.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
When am I dating the today for
Today,
both of
yep.
them?
Oh, that was me.
Stop, the Linwood Ambulance.
This is gonna be part of your joint meeting next week. It's not typically, but because if somebody you want, Cheryl, you wanna chime in, or do you want me?
Yeah, no, it'll be a group discussion next week at the Lincoln Woodstock Joint Budget Committee, I would expect. Don't make any plans for that evening.
Yeah. I think you'll have.
I think it'll,
Is it next week or the week after?
Next
week.
week, that's why I shuffled
and
things,
it'll be
'cause
a little bit longer.
I finally
probably
got
of a
these.
meeting than we're used to. Uh, one of the things I noticed when I was going down through it, and I don't know if we wanna reach out to John and suggest, but he did really well putting everything in there, and outlining everything, but he left under the 2024 budgeted total wages, he left those blank. And it may be helpful for him to put numbers in there, because it's probably going to be asked by other individuals.
So
And then,
what the wages were for 2023 and 2024?
yes,
The breakdown.
Like
the
that,
breakdown.
yeah.
And I understand that maybe it might be a little bit more difficult to put, maybe it wasn't paid as regular full-time or part-time wages, but it was paid as stipends. He should put a line item in and show how, even though it wasn't paid exactly in these categories, put them in as the categories they were back then, and then obviously it would be zeros in 2025.
And where would the 175,000 increase in wages come from? Like, would that help us with the breakdown?
It'll
Well, I
probably
think-
show a little bit.
Right, and you can see, he has the total wages, what was paid out by stipend or whatever up to top here. He's just not showing how it was paid out.
Right. And I think that will
So-
help in him explaining the transition from a more volunteered base to a more full-time based.
So these numbers, the funded and the budgeted, are these just Woodstock or that's the?
This is combined, this
Okay.
this
Everything
whole budget is
combined.
going in front of both of us.
Okay,
As a combined budget, and then the last page, you will see the breakout, the request. For Lincoln and Woodstock.
Has it always been split per volume?
No,
No.
No, this
if
is
you
the
look on the
first.
back,
It
Okay,
used to
that's
be
what I was wondering.
50-50.
Yeah,
so if you look right here on the back, Marcy, way down here at the bottom.
yeah, the 6634.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
right.
I was
So-
wondering if this was
Yeah.
the first year, it was
It
by
is,
volume.
and it's because they came
Because we're,
at us.
Because
So
there's
much.
an asterisk,
Yeah,
the request is so much
So
greater.
that's already been agreed upon between the two towns.
Oh, no, no,
No,
no,
that's
no.
what we're discussing next
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
But I saw on Facebook today that Lincoln has 69% of the calls and for last year, and Woodstock had 28.
so we can-
And John told us, I mean, Cheryl, do you have on this new number, because the number that was up there last night was incorrect. The number that's there now, the 197.
Yeah.
What that is per thousand?
No,
100.
for us, it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be approximately the same still.
it's not.
What I
gonna
think-
change it much.
What I would recommend, maybe we want to also look at,
I'll have you.
the impact to us and the impact to Lincoln and what that is per taxpayer.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's some,
He seemed to think it was very close because of the amount of properties there.
Yeah.
That pay, that it looks here that it's like,
right,
Right.
but when you break it down to properties and so forth, it's not,
Correct.
that's what he
and
was
there's a
stating.
tendency to look that, oh my gosh, Lincoln has to pay
Exactly,
as much as
exactly,
Woodstock, but-
exactly.
when you look at it and you can say, no, actually. Per thousand on your evaluated HES, we're paying
Right.
30 cents and you're paying 28 cents, so
Yeah.
actually, in theory,
we're
as a
paying-
resident, we're
Yes.
paying more.
And that's when.
And
we
I
look
think
at the
that's a good
school.
number to have for next week, if we
Yes.
can.
Yes,
if we
we
can.
can have that.
Yeah.
number.
Cause he seemed
I
to
will have
think
it
that
out
that
to
would be a
Yeah.
positive, and we all agreed this morning, right, Steve?
I mean, I think we're looking at this very similar to how we kind of structure the school, when we're doing the formula with the school.
Yeah.
To keep it fair, not as,
Correct.
you know, but kind of similar.
Yes, and that's why, when we brought that out in the last meeting, that per taxpayer, it's actually Woodstock's paying twice as much versus Lincoln, and we understand, but, yeah. Oh, and we always blamed for not having, well, it was our choice not to have condos like Lincoln, I'm like, where would you like us to put them? Alright, and you, back to Ski Mountain, I don't know, anyway,
And if you see anything else, like, you know, Cheryl pointing this out, you wanna email me, I'll try to get you the info from John.
Yeah.
Ahead, you know, or,
He's got a
something
whole
to-
presentation prepared for next week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably,
Cheryl's already probably seen it twice.
is it that same one?
It's basically, I mean, it's the same idea. You
Okay.
know, It's,
Is
so-
this the first budget we discussed next week?
Yes,
uh,
I would recommend it be,
I haven't seen the agenda.
or actually,
I'd say
maybe,
the last.
I would say, maybe, yeah, go through,
Let's get our
maybe we
other
could recommend going through solid cake and community center out of the way, and then,
Yeah,
I
That's-
don't
and
wanna
then
get
this
bogged
one.
down with this
What
one,
do you
and
think
then
of
we
it?
don't
And
wanna deal with the other one.
Right,
I wonder if it's worth saying a time limit, and if we have to come back to it the following week, we come back to it the following week, because I don't think we wanna go round and round until 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
no.
I know, I
Next
see.
week.
No,
Right,
that's what I was
And-
concerned
and-
about. We can-
and it may be a reality that we're gonna come back as a group together and discuss. You know, I think reality is we have to discuss too, what if
that's what I was just gonna say.
Lincoln says no?
And you know, because at that point, if they, and you don't know till town meeting.
Right.
So that what if is a big
Right, so we have to have a
because,
contingency plan.
well, our contingency plan would be that we
What
would
is
have
it,
to
last
have a
We
special
have,
town
we have
meeting.
$197,000 to bring in an ambulance service.
Right.
And
If we
that's,
agree to budget at 197, that's
but I think
what we have to spend.
on the flip side, the ambulance service has to have a contingency plan too, because like, what if this doesn't pass, because we don't know. And now is there? I don't know. An equity or whatever, or is it not?
So I do have one question that you may or may not know the answer to. This capital improvement of 119,000.
That was on my checklist too. What is that for? Why is it being thrown in?
is the company
I'm
that
sorry.
deals with the insurance companies and the hospitals and
Okay.
everything that has to get all the money from them. And that's another whole entity that they fight to get us the money, that people don't pay the bill. You know, you get a bill in the mail and you don't have the money to pay it.
Yeah,
They go after you to
Okay.
get so much of it and try to settle it out. That's my understanding.
Yeah, no,
You have
that's,
that, you agree with
that's-
me?
yeah,
all right.
yeah, so
my
there's three
understanding
different
on that.
entities there.
Yeah.
In
three
that
different,
whole
like,
thing.
1099
Well, it might be good for him
Yes.
to explain that
Yeah,
Yeah,
in that meeting.
yeah.
because it is, there are questions too, like I said, that we didn't know because this was never put at us before, this is
Right.
just open since all these doors open.
Yep.
And we're trying to learn.
Great.
Any other discussion on the ambulance? Okay, moving on, solid waste.
My first question is, why don't they fill in any of these numbers?
Right. Judy, that was gonna be my request to you, is can you ask Karina to send over, the budgets for solid waste, Kanc Rec and community center with the details that were supplied to Lincoln
Okay,
for the line items?
For the year
For
to date.
each line, for the year to date, each line item.
We never get them.
No, I was gonna say,
And
it
then
sounds
sit
like
there in the meeting
last
like,
year.
what?
They
so
still don't.
what is Lincoln get, details for year-to-date, line by line
Line
item?
Yeah,
Yeah, the line items for each year to date, not just the total. I think
And when
it
they
would
say
help
board of
us.
selectmen recommended, which board of selectmen do they
Yeah.
talking about?
That, not us.
Oh, okay.
This is the first we're seeing it. Um,
Yeah,
I do-
I just got.
you
the
know, I
line.
know halfway through the year, we, at the BOS meeting in June or July, the joint one. It was requested to go to 7 days a week, which has been well received by the community. I
Yeah.
think they all love it.
yeah,
But we were, I believe we were told in that meeting that it would not be at an additional expense to wages, that they felt it could be covered in the current wages, and so. I would say maybe a question would be is then why are the year-to-date wages higher than?
how did they
what
think
we're
it was
funding?
gonna be the same throughout the day?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, I think that's why.
Doesn't add up to me,
But
but yeah.
I think that's what's maybe something. we'd like
What's
to-
contracted services? That's a big chunk of money.
That's the all in the. trash.
Waste
Oh,
management.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
So under contracted services, it says hazardous household waste collection, and that's 0 this year. Are
they do it every other
They
year.
do that
Yeah.
every other.
Oh, okay, and then my next question is rental compost screen tub grinder, last year it was 0 and now it's 12,000.
And they-
Every other-
Every
Every other
Yeah.
year, yeah, okay.
Slightly concerning about the part-time.
Yeah,
I
wages
had-
being up about 20 grand.
Yeah, why is the part-time wages?
They must have hired another
Increase.
part-time.
well, they have to because they're open another day, but it's not gonna cost anybody any more money.
Um. I noticed, and I'll be fine asking, but I always get confused about, and it's minor money, it's little money, but like the telephone and alarms. We funded 2,700. It cost us almost 4,300, but we're only gonna budget 3,600.
I noticed that on all the other budgets.
There's a lot of areas, so I would just say, why are we overspending? And then not budgeting, if it's costing us more for telephone and alarms, we wanna under budget, so we're over budget again. And I think we could remind them that, you know, for us, we'd rather budget the increase now than scramble to
Absolutely.
find the money later.
We.
Because
run a
we
pretty
don't
tight
have that
budget.
money to find some days, some years. So, I'd rather see them budget 4,200. Than
Bought a lot of uniforms this year, huh?
Yeah, doubled.
double, and then they're
Right.
budgeting for even more for next year, right?
Yeah, they're budgeting 5,000 for next year as opposed to 500 in 2023.
So we've overspent it, and
I haven't noticed they have uniforms on.
T-shirts and different, aren't they?
I don't know if they have
So they just look
jackets or
like
what they
it.
provide.
Have their name on it. but
I don't know, I've
like
seen the
embroidered
jacket,
Yeah.
I've seen
something.
it in
Yeah,
sweatshirts. I think it's.
They're out in the
it's kinda
cold all
over the
day.
board, Yeah,
That's.
and I would totally say that, yeah, you have to do that. I would say in the offsetting revenue, and maybe hopefully we'll get it in the detail as why we're not seeing what was actually collected for solid waste fees. It's kind
I
of
could
like,
say, I just barely got November's.
okay,
It's just that I've got to push them to get, because I gotta close my year out here.
right,
So, I
are we
could probably,
running close to that 60,000?
yeah,
Okay,
I could probably get you that. I could get you close.
Okay.
For our side. When we split it, so it should be,
yeah,
Just a funny little point. In one of our ambulance meetings, somebody brought up the fact that Woodstock pays more to have their trash taken care of than for ambulance coverage. Think about that.
I've heard
So-
that.
I mean,
Oh.
it's important to get rid of your
I
trash
mean-
too, don't get me
Right,
wrong,
right.
get rid of trash.
It is, and until you need it or whatever, you don't really think about it. And the ambulance is something you don't really think about. Or a
Well,
fire
it's like
department,
gas,
so you
and
don't need it.
people complain about the price of gas, but they pay even more than that for a gallon of milk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or eggs.
yeah.
right. The only other thing down at the very bottom at the end of that, the 50% of non-department expenses, i.e. benefits, why is there a 43% increase in benefits? Cost share. Or $16,000.
The new employee.
right, the new employee.
Yeah, but still, it shouldn't be 20
One
grand.
employee retired. So
Oh,
should
we-
we, and we
or
should be
will we?
paying part-time people
Well, that's
benefits.
what I was wondering, the days off vacation sick, is that just to cover that, and that's not their benefits?
Well, if they're part-time, they shouldn't have benefits.
Yeah, that's right.
I think there's 3 full-time there.
I don't know, good question to ask.
But that guy that just retired is coming back.
Again?
As
Well,
a
he's-
part-time,
As part-time.
but as part-time, and I think we can request and push that part-time people don't get benefits. Unfortunately.
No, that's pretty much standard in every business, part-time.
Any more discussion? Okay, moving on to Kanc Rec.
Who's presenting this one?
I assume my wife's gonna be with Bree.
Your wife's gonna be there on Zoom, but Bree is gonna be there in the room.
Oh, cause she's not gonna be there.
No, she's going with conference.
Let's see.
Oh, she's going right into it.
What is programmer? Oh, so I just had a random question, so the programmer, what wages are those? For the, we have a program coordinator, but what's programmer, and what do they do? No?
Is that,
Where do you see
is that
those?
Haley?
It's
Haley's
under
not
wages.
there anymore. I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
Under
sorry, I'm in the
wages
wrong.
on the first page.
It's somebody, it must be the
Send it to 'em.
part-time person. It used to be Haley.
And there's not really any Haley anymore. Right now, they.
Right now, because they
Yeah.
haven't hired it.
Yeah.
So that person is like, the person that runs like ASP. Or,
okay,
you lean on them for stuff at the Kancs East Loop, I believe,
I
and they're
think-
separate from the other,
program coordinator. The program coordinator is
That's-
full-time.
Yeah, that was Bree's job.
Bree's.
that was,
Well,
Bree,
yeah, that was Bree.
Yeah.
So they're trying to hire.
and. Yeah, thanks for the big phone, I was like, if over budget, why not fund that rather than funding less?
you can prep it with, it'd be more of a briefing, but
Right,
we're looking. Potentially, is it possible to look at, school technically right now is gonna get out the second week of June. So we're gonna have 10 weeks summer. Is it possible to add a week in June for
Right,
camp? And
'cause
I don't
we
have
have
that,
that.
because I don't have a kid
right,
that's in it.
and I asked this last year, I was trying to look at the calendar.
Right,
On Monday.
and you never did
Or
get a good answer.
2 weeks,
No.
5 weeks, and 3 weeks.
And basically, it's a week of training, so
Yeah.
how many of those folks are actually coming back? It was
Right.
training and teamwork for
Yeah.
a week.
Yep.
And then they were starting the 4th of July week, which was a reduced week,
Right.
and then they end
2 weeks
the
before
week
school.
before school starts,
week
like a
before.
whole week before, so the
Right.
second week in August, they were done.
Right.
So it was, I was trying to get an extra week last year.
I think it would be, we could ask. I think there's no harm in asking that if there's a possibility you'd have, school ends on the 13th, you'd have a week off, you'd do a week of training, and then the kids. Or the week, no, school gets out, the kids, like, the kids would have that week, and then that week that the kids are. Whatever,
The
the
school,
school kids are off with their parents or whatever, is the week that they do their training, so then they
Oh,
can
goodness.
start a week
yeah,
before 4th of July week
yeah, if school
Yeah.
gets out June 13th, that's
Yeah.
2 weeks.
in June, that's a lot.
And then you got a week in August that no one has care, so as a working person,
Yeah,
I have
I
3
think
weeks
it's-
of the
there's
summer
no
months
harm
that
in
my kids would
asking
not be.
that to be
Yeah.
considered. I think, and see if that's a possibility, because a lot of the counselors are college age, so they've been out since
Yeah.
May.
Mhm.
Yeah, the
So
problem's
there's-
doing when they go back in August, a lot of them. go back
Right,
in-
and so I understand
Yeah.
the August part of it.
Yeah.
Well, that was an issue.
But if
and
we could
even-
start a little bit earlier in June.
Yeah, cause
I
then if they
think it
wanna
would
give
help
the
out.
school age kids some time, do they need 5 days of training? Can their training orientation be 3 days?
Mhm.
Like to give the kids that are coming right from Linwood,
I don't know if there are any though. Anymore, I think they're all.
they're all college,
age.
so they're gonna be done.
Right,
and
they're
they're
done
done
in
May
May, so they should have,
to be able to
they
start
may
the training
appreciate an
program on the
extra week of
16th.
pay.
Right.
So I think it's worth asking.
There was fees, I have here,
I think
what
we're-
fees compromise an increase of $3,000? No, where is this? The contracted services, White Mountain National Forest, background checks, music licensing fees. It was funded at $6,000 and now they're recommending 9,000.
I can tell, yeah, I would sooner bet those computer service contracts. Tends to be,
They're skyrocketing.
Yeah.
Like my maintenance and
but I would certainly make note to ask that for sure.
Okay.
I bet they're, music licensing, I thought that was movie, I was gonna say that's
That's what-
drastically gone up too.
Oh, yeah?
The licensing, everything, yeah.
Oh, we need music at Kanc.
Never know.
Makes the atmosphere.
I don't know about the music.
We're not
but
gonna
when
take
I
that
was looking
away.
into the
Let's get it
thing,
straight.
With, I think it was Funflix, actually, the gentleman was telling me that stuff is increasing drastically, so I might see a difference in next year's quote.
And I suspect that, yeah, the, state park fees, like Echo Lake when we go there, Wellington, all of
Mhm.
those have come up in price too, so that.
My next thing is the umpires and referees, they did away, it's $600. As someone who coached this year, fall sport. And I was told that, for the first game, we had refs. It's awesome.
Mhm.
Second game, we were told that it was going to be coaching led referee. I said, well, how can I coach my kids, my team, if I have to be out on the field reffing? So I would appreciate money put back in the budget to ensure, like Linwood does and other community events do. Hey, it's $40 a game. like offer them, and they couldn't get umpires and referees, that was their issue.
Yeah.
Offer them money like everyone else does to come and ref a game. I don't care if it's a first, second grade soccer team or a fifth grade.
They
you know,
used to have the
baseball team.
varsity kids do it.
Yeah,
And
they used to
they
do
would
that.
pay them, so the high school would pay them, like if you had kids running the lines for a varsity game,
Yeah, they always have.
Yeah,
they always
$10
got
a
paid.
game.
No,
$10
but they
a
used to
game.
come and do the Kanc too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
They-
I
the
remember
school
doing
paid
it
them?
as a kid.
Yeah.
yeah, the school pays them, so
Do the
why
kids
can't
too?
the, no, so why
No.
can't the rec do something similar?
Did we used to
The
pay
the
them?
rec budget used to pay.
Oh, and we don't anymore? We
I
don't pay?
don't
the
know. I
Well,
just
last
said
year
that
they had
is-
$600 in there for it, and
Yeah.
this year they're not asking for it.
Yeah, and I just know as,
Yeah,
a-
yeah, without a
you're a
rec, but even the
volunteer
high school
coach to
games.
begin with, right?
And
That
My
I would
only thought
appreciate
is,
refs.
right, is if they've put it up in the wages.
That's what I'm wondering, is if they
Oh,
scooted
maybe.
it somewhere
Maybe it's
else.
somewhere else.
Maybe
Right,
we
so I
can
think
raise
ask
them.
that,
Yeah.
probably approach it as. I see there's no money in for umps and refs, did
And
that
why?
move to wages
Yeah,
or
Oh, I bet, yeah.
not? If not, can you please add it back in?
right, and the other thing I
Yeah.
was wondering is if they, did they put it in, there was another, what does the ball field maintenance? So I don't know if,
I don't think we need to ask about that because we don't pay for that.
okay, that's what I was wondering, because the
Yeah.
school did a new
Yeah.
service too,
We don't pay for any, grounds,
with the turf care and everything.
Yep. not at the rec.
Well, this was community ball field, right? Do we
I s-
participate in that?
Is the community ball field the one at the high school? or-
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So do we not do that?
I think,
I don't,
I think we might,
on the community one?
on the community one, the one that's at the school,
Wouldn't that be?
we could ask, I think it's to double check.
Yeah, cause it just says
It
ball
says-
field, it doesn't say.
Community ball field subcontract for turf care.
Oh,
10
where's
grand
that?
Or
Oh,
12,
there's-
Yeah.
Under
Well,
yeah.
Parks and Patriot.
down at
Yeah.
the bottom under Woodstock billing, it says half grand total of budget less account numbers 4, 5, 20, 800, which I believe is all the maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Parks and Patriotic,
And 45, 20, 850.
Okay.
general affairs, so
General.
the two.
So those two are not included in our.
But the ball field maintenance at the Kanc is included. Cause that's 4, 5, 20, 600. That makes even less sense.
Well, it's line paint, lawn care. I mean, that's not really maintenance to the,
Like the other ones, some
The other
contracted
ones.
stuff, I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean? It's just like ongoing mow the lawn
yeah.
and.
Put lines down.
I think that's more operational.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the person who mows the lawn at the Kanc is not a,
It's a town employee, but we pay a portion.
okay,
yeah.
It's a town of Lincoln Highway.
so it's a portion, it's not someone separately that we're having to do it,
No.
it's an existing,
It's an
It's just
Town
employee.
employee.
Yeah.
and this department just,
Yeah.
Breaks it
We
in.
have to pay a portion of the payroll to it.
okay.
Anything else?
I'll just add, and they'll talk about it probably in that meeting, but just to kind of give you a heads up, is they are looking to, renovate and add on to the Kanc building. It's obviously
I've heard some like plans and
being
stuff in the works.
of that, but I think,
Is there a line, like a capital? Or
it
what-
won't cost us anything, it'll be all in the town of Lincoln.
Cause it's their property.
Right.
We
But,
don't pay for any of the
right,
physical structure.
correct,
Okay,
No. but just know that
yeah.
that's being brought forth to the taxpayers of Lincoln.
Is that a petition thing to them, or is that actually part of
I
the?
think it is going to be a special warrant article, correct? To appropriate in addition to the capital reserve that they've already So they already have close to half of it.
Oh, they do.
Okay, next up, community center. This is where you see the program coordinator.
Right. And this is what they're paying 50% of the whole thing.
Oh, so the Kanc Rec wages is just the director.
Correct.
It is not free,
No,
or old free.
Right.
that comes under community center.
Yeah, so here's the program coordinator, that was pretty.
Right. You might be able to speak to this, Kara, I don't know, but how come the waivers for the food character are going down when the service that's being provided has been increasing?
I don't know the answer to that question.
So we should, we'll nail that.
I think part of it might be because Haley's not there anymore, and that used to be part of her job, was to specifically help with the food pantry. And because Haley's gone, Lou's been doing it, and her wages are already in somewhere else.
Gotcha.
But I don't really know the answer to that.
And didn't they do a study to increase these wages based on like area comps
We asked them to.
for the program coordinator? Cause
That
that's
might
up
why-
18%,
That's might be why you're looking at an 18% increase.
right,
Well, they're hiring the program coordinator at a higher wage than Bree is getting right now. Bree is getting an increase when she
I was gonna
takes
say, she
Tara's
got a-
job,
yeah,
when she takes that job over. But the person that they're replacing her with, they're advertising that job at a higher wage than Bree is getting paid at this moment. So that might be the answer to that.
Yeah, I asked my wife about that, and, she said the reason why is because you can't get anybody, that's what it's going for, that position.
Yeah. Yeah, like if the numbers were filled in, the
Right.
line items,
be
it'd be
easier
easier
to
to understand.
Understand.
Like the food pantry thing, I don't, like, they asked for 9172, maybe they didn't spend them.
right, indeed,
Maybe.
that would be good information to.
Yeah. Yeah, if she could get those to us by the end of the week, so that they can be reviewed over the weekend and the beginning of next week, that would be nice.
Then just make it a standard practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
mean,
thought
why
that
would
they were
you-
normally there.
We know, they weren't last year.
They weren't,
No,
oh,
no.
I think I did have to email her last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just, whatever
Make a
they,
note, yeah,
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 make a mental
Always
note, make a
remember.
paper note, make a note,
it doesn't seem.
Well, I was,
and I think that would help us too under, line item 600, materials and supplies.
right.
Yeah.
Why are
I
we
mean,
budgeting
why
the
is it
same
so
amount
high?
when they've only spent half of it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Again, we'd rather budget
Take that
more
7
than,
grand.
yeah.
And do another week at camp on the other
Yeah.
side.
I agree.
Right. The thing we'll have to remember, is line item 700, see how they took out 50,000?
Yeah,
That's because we are going to be putting it in the capital reserve, so we will have a capital reserve amount of that 50,000, so we're not saving that 50,000, we're just putting it into capital reserve instead, so we don't have to allocate or reallocate every year, like if we don't spend it, what's the word I'm looking for, Judy? Encumber
you can
the
cover.
money. It's easier and cleaner to have it in the capital reserve and then just use what we need of the 50,000. And if we only spend 40, great, that means there's 10 in there for the next year. Or other, if a project comes in at 60,000 later down the road.
And maybe the reason they don't give us all these numbers is like line item 700, we told them they had 60 grand, they spent
Right.
76. Well, I'm guessing that most of that is the concrete work at the new entrance.
Well, don't forget, we encumbered
But
18,000.
Some of it was encumbered.
So each town encumbered it, so it's not really overspent.
So they should have put a number in that encumbered line to show that we had encumbered 18,000 or whatever it was, so that then it would show we didn't technically overspend that,
Overspend. Oh, yeah.
I think.
because we had
Working
18.
with.
Like program user fees for programs,
They're budgeting less.
right? Is that? That's like registration, right? I think for it.
Well, isn't that, Recta?
That's where rec goes.
Right.
And
Program
that's,
fees.
I think she's looking at offsetting revenue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Should I not be looking at that?
no,
No,
you
no,
can,
you
Oh.
can.
it's
I
not,
just thought you were looking at the regular line. I was
Oh.
confused.
I suspect that's tied to, program fees is tied to ASP. So if if they have 20, right,
They're
if you can
projecting.
get 20 kids, but they're projecting that, oh, well, this year we only had 17 kids. So we're gonna budget at 17 versus 20, because you're gonna lose your fifth graders and gain your kindergartners, right? Next year, and so
Yeah.
it should balance out, so that I
I'm
suspect
curious,
that's what that is.
With ASP, like just food for thought. I'm assuming the kids that work at ASP are hourly, right, part-time,
Yeah.
so. Could they have like and I don't even know if it's even worth monetarily wise, but like. I go in and say like 4 o'clock to pick up my kids. There are like 7 staff members there
And 2 kids.
and 2 kids. So why, like in a normal business, you'd send people home,
But, you know.
But you have to work at least 2
2
hours.
hours.
You have to pay them at least
Yeah.
2 hours.
Just for showing.
Just for showing up.
I don't
so
think
what's
you're,
like
you're
the
not
student
saving
rate,
money.
like the kid to, I'm curious what like the rate. ASP can only have X amount of kids, right?
Some
Due
days
to-
it's 2 to 1.
And is that like, there's like a legal?
I'm
rate
sure
for
there
it,
is a
right?
legal thing, I don't know what it is.
Like a
I just know that
daycare is, you
sometimes
can
I'm
have
on
like
there.
X adult per,
Yeah,
6
Kid.
to 1.
yeah, something
Right.
like that. I don't know what it is, but I just found that. Curious, but if they're only starting work at 3 o'clock, they have to be there till 5, you have to pay them regardless. so-
Right, you have to
Yeah.
pay them 2
And
hours regardless.
would you take that job after school if you knew you were only gonna get paid
No,
1 hour?
but maybe you
Or an hour and a
only do
half
it for
for
like an hour, like
$10?
you have only 3 kids at work. You know, I don't know what that number is to,
Part of the problem is, and I deal with this because I hear it every day. The problem is kids don't always show up. Kids that are supposed to be there doing this every day, they don't show
Yeah.
up.
Right.
None of these, you have 5 of them.
so then they overstaff or account to that.
Yeah,
And
it
then,
was, yeah.
and some days they're
I
there,
got too much homework, I can't be there today,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
So
Yeah.
and then like
What
the
you do.
college kids, some of them can only work Tuesday and Thursday.
Right.
Some of them can only work
due to
Monday
their
and Friday.
schedule,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely balancing act.
Mhm. You just notice it, it's all, like when you walk in and
Yeah.
they're all sitting there
Right,
chatting, hanging out, waiting for the kids to be
I
picked
mean,
up.
do they
and
get
there's-
picked up at different times too, or
They
is
do.
it just like a staggering thing,
Yeah.
or by the
Right.
time you
Yeah.
get there, maybe?
And I know I'm not consistent, you know what I mean, in
So
terms
maybe
of
they
like
didn't
parents
have a
are the
full
same
house.
thing, like some days like we pick up before 4, some days I am there at 4:58 and my kids are the lone buffaloes. And
So maybe
we
when
have,
they
we
start
walk
out,
out
they do
with
have.
counselors most of the times.
Hmm.
But yeah, if it's a mandatory 2 hour and it's just after school, then I get it.
Alright, any other comments or discussions?
People even pay $43,000 a year to clean that building.
Well, we clean
It's
for
both
everybody.
sides.
I know, it just seems like such an
And we,
enormous number.
Right, I'd like to be the cleaner for that
No,
building,
you wouldn't.
For
You'd be dead at the end
$43,000?
of the day.
that was my only gig.
Well, we were doing it,
Right? Yeah,
But you're getting, so that 43 though is divided by 3 people they bring in, or 2 people?
I haven't seen them in a while, but when I used to see them, I would see 2 typically, sometimes only
So
one.
20,000 per.
Right, but it's the company that's getting
It's
the
the
money.
company that's
not
getting the
necessarily-
money.
Right,
Yeah.
how long does it take them to clean the building?
I would say 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, cause they mop that entire, first they
A lot of floor.
sweep and
Yeah.
vacuum that whole big floor, and then they mop the whole thing, they gotta move the tables and everything.
I know when we sent out, an RFP for this building, and you're talking probably 10 years ago now. It was coming in for like 3 hours a night, like over 20,000. And that's when Jimmy went and approached.
Well,
How many times do they clean a week?
They come in every day. Sometimes it's 2 hours. It depends if like the libraries, it depends what's open and what's being used.
I thought they had someone that just did the childcare. They used to have, right?
Yeah, but
The
she
woman
got
that worked in
done.
childcare used to do it, but
Right.
she quit.
Right.
That's why they hired this company.
So how many
Yeah.
times a week do they clean the community center? Do you know?
I don't know.
Well, we don't hire
I
somebody,
used to only
they're
see
on
her
our
on
payroll.
Tuesdays. Cause that's when I go to do the food pantry and I would
Or-
leave the Kanc and then go there and then do their.
I pay close to 20 grand a year for cleaning, and that's someone on payroll. For one person.
Well, and you think about
3
it too,
hours,
I mean,
4
sort of
days a
it's a
week.
luxury. If I don't have to clean, I'll pay you anything I.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
well,
So
it's
I
hard
don't think 40.
It
hours
is, it's
a
hard.
week. No.
And just
Yeah.
a regular
Totally got
cleaner that does a private
That's
thing,
what-
charging $25
That's
an
the
hour.
Yeah.
mistake.
I
Yeah.
would not want
Minimum,
I mean, you really, when you look at it, would have boiled, it's $25 an hour.
easily. I mean, Kim Pinkham used to pay me $20 an hour to help her, and that was 5 years ago.
Right.
On her big houses, you know.
Wages
so,
have gone up.
Yeah.
They charge cleanly.
I'm
Maybe
not
it's
saying that we
60 bucks
shouldn't
an
pay, I'm
hour.
just like, holy cow, that just seems like such a big number.
It does, when you're looking at it like that, but when you actually like break it down to.
Yeah,
A week?
Okay.
How many hours it
I've cleaned for people before, 42 grand isn't enough.
I couldn't.
Ah,
Condos, no, thank you.
Oh, and you have to lug all your own equipment.
yeah.
Right, is that the last one?
That's the last one.
So next,
Is there
Totally
anything,
broke your
I know.
record here.
well,
is there anything else to come before the budget committee? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll say.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
See you next week.
All right, you still want to do that tonight?